Hi, my name is Bridget Leddy and I'm a sleep physiologist and founder of the Insomnia Clinic. Today I'm going to give you some tips on how to sleep well during COVID-19. This is part of Meath Library's Healthy Ireland at Your Library programme. First of all, we're going to start off talking about our routines. COVID-19 has completely changed our normal day-to-day way of living and has brought about huge change in our lives, and any change has the potential to cause a sleep disorder or to affect our sleep. And in fact, many people have said that they are not sleeping well since this whole COVID started. Insomnia usually affects about 15% of the population, but recent studies have shown that now since COVID, this has now actually increased up into about 40%. So there's been a huge increase in sleep problems. So first of all, this whole change has brought about a real change to our routines. A lot of us are working from home now. We've had to endure the homeschooling, all of that. So any change, as I said, can cause a disruption to what we call this normal circadian rhythm, which is our body clock. So it's really important, whether you're working from home or not, that you try to recreate that natural, normal 9 to 5 job that you have. Because our body relies on external factors or external body cues. And these are little signals that help to give the body a sense of time. So with this more flexibility that we have in our day-to-day life, our whole sense of time starts to get a little bit altered. So we need to put these structures back in place to help to give the body a sense of time. So the first thing is, it's really, really important that you set an alarm clock every single day, 7 days a week. And remember, when it comes to sleep, there is no weekend. It's a 24-hour cycle and it's a 7-day week. So set that alarm clock, get up at that time. If it's a thing you're working from home, get dressed, get into normal work gear. Again, this sends a signal to the body to say that you should be awake and it's time to get to work. So try to recreate that normal setting in work. Again, have your breakfast every morning at the same time. Have lunch breaks at the same time. Have your morning coffee at the same time. Again, it's about giving back some sense of time to the body, because we have lost all these kind of social cues that help to give us the sense of time. So it's really important to put these structures back. So get up, get dressed, to have your regular meal times. And you finish your day when you should be actually finish your normal working day. So try to have all your work done by a certain time, and try not to bring work too close to bedtime. If we don't get all our tasks done during the day, we can be working right up to bedtime, and that's really going to play havoc with our body clocks and our ability to actually fall asleep. The other thing then is exercise. Exercise is so important, and I know we're all moving about less and less and we're quite restricted in our movements, but it's so important that exercise continues. The more energy we use up, the more we're going to have to replace that energy, and the only way we do that is by actually getting sleep. So the body will actually need more sleep in order to replace this lost energy. It's also just great for our bodies, but it's also great for our mind as well. More and more research has come out to say that morning exercise is far better in terms of our sleep. So if you can even get a walk for about 15 or 20 minutes early on in the morning, again, that's better for your sleep. With getting out, having the walk 15-20 minutes, you're getting exposure to natural daylight as well, and exposure to light upon awakening is absolutely crucial at stabilizing that body clock. So you're really killing two birds with the one stone here. You're getting your exercise, but you're also getting that boost of natural daylight, which again sends a signal to the body that it's time to be awake and it's time to start your day. The other thing as well is, with this flexibility, and particularly for not sleeping well, we can actually start to nap during the day. In terms of napping, they're really not good in terms of our sleep. If it's a thing you find that you do have to nap, we have to look at what's happening during that nighttime sleep. If it's a thing you're napping during the day, it's an indication that you're probably not getting enough sleep the previous night, or the quality of sleep is not great. So the body is just trying to catch up on little bits of sleep wherever it can to keep the body going. So if it's a thing you find that you are starting to nap at a particular time during the day, I would try to avoid it. Try to kind of involve yourself in a task that will keep you busy so that you're not giving yourself the opportunity to feel sleepy. So if you're feeling sleepy around lunchtime or post lunchtime, don't sit down in front of the telly in a nice comfy seat. Get up, do something, do a task to get over that little period of sleepiness. And remember, it is normal to feel sleepy past lunchtime because it's a normal little blip in this body clock. Napping can become a habit, so again, you need to stop that habit. If it's a thing, you've really had a very bad night's sleep the night before and you really do need to nap to get through the day, the timing of the nap is absolutely crucial as well. The duration is also important as well. So always try to have a nap. If you really need it, have that nap as early on in the day as possible. If it's a thing you do it too close to bed, it's going to eat into this, what we call a sleep pressure. So the need for sleep will no longer be there. So you might be feeling that you're napping in front of the TV in the run up to bedtime, and then you get up into bed and you can't sleep because you've actually slept too close to bedtime. So always have the nap earlier on in the day. Duration of the nap is extremely important as well. You should always have a nap for about 20 minutes and no more. The shorter naps are actually going to be much more refreshing. If it's a thing you have a longer nap, you're more likely to go into a deeper stage of sleep. And if you wake up from a deeper stage of sleep, you're going to feel quite groggy and you're probably going to feel worse than when before you even had the nap. So always set an alarm, no more than 20 minutes. Also, if you're driving, be very careful. Naps are always allowed when you're driving, but ideally if you're sleepy you should not be driving. And the Road Safety Authority has quite good guidelines on their website as well. So naps, again, try to eliminate naps if at all possible, and shorter is always best, and earlier on in the day is also best. We're also surrounded by a huge amount of negative information. So all of this information can be quite worrying and can involve a lot of anxiety for people. So again, number one, get your information from a trusted source. That's so important. There is so much misinformation out there, particularly now with COVID, but also in terms of sleep. There's so much misinformation out there. So always get your information from a trusted source. The other thing as well is try not to get your information too close to bedtime. If you're watching the 9 o'clock news and then you're seeing all of this kind of worrying information, you're worried about your health, you're worried about your family's health, you're now bringing all of this information to bed with you. And when lights go off, that's when the real busy mind can actually kick in and the worry can start. So ideally, always try to get your information earlier on in the day. In the run up to bedtime, just chill out, relax, and just wind down and forget about all of those worries, because you do actually have to prepare your body for sleep. In this run up to bedtime, you don't want to be doing anything too worrisome. You don't want to be doing anything that's keeping the mind busy too much. It's all about bringing down our cortisol levels prior to bed. And cortisol is our stress hormone. And we know that people with insomnia have higher levels of cortisol prior to bed. And when you have higher levels of cortisol prior to bed, it can lead to a very fragmented sleep. So even if you were getting the right amount of sleep, because it may be so fragmented, you're not going to feel the benefits of that actual sleep. It can also hamper us getting off to sleep, and it can also hamper us staying asleep. So again, wind down before bed is really important, and this is tying into that kind of pre-bedtime ritual. So nothing distressing on the TV to watch before bed, but also it's about this 2 hours before bed is all about really preparing the body for sleep. Prepare our mind and our body. So all work activities should be shut down before bedtime. All these kind of bedtime chores like brushing your teeth and washing your face, all of that should be done before you sit down to wind down. So you can sit down, read a book, You can listen to a bit of music, you can watch a bit of TV, whatever you need to do to just wind down. Of course, all smart devices need to be shut down at this time as well, because I think we all know now about blue light and how that can really impact our melatonin levels, which is the sleep promoting hormone which we need to boost up prior to bed. So wind down. The other thing, once you get your wind down, get into bed, and sometimes you might need a little bit of a relaxation technique in bed, because if you're worrying about how you're going to sleep, you can have a lovely wind down before bed, but then you're into bed and then the worry starts to kick in. So have some kind of a little technique, whether it be a body scan or a thing called progressive muscle relaxation techniques, are really, really good and are all evidence-based when it comes to helping us to get off to sleep. Again, if you find you have a lot of worries during the day, you just try to keep them out of the bed. And the best way to do this is before wind down time. Give yourself maybe your 10 or 15 minutes just to sit down with a little notebook and put your day to rest. So if you have any worries, this is now where you put them. Put them into this book, get them out in black and white, and try not to bring them into the bedtime. Once you have your little notebook filled out, how did today go? Were there anything that worried you? How am I going to sort out this problem if there is a problem there? And what have I got on tomorrow? It's important to plan for the next day. When you've that done, you close your book. I say that is today done with, and I am actually planned for tomorrow. Always keep a pen and paper beside the bed. So if a thought does come into your head when you're lying in bed and can't sleep, don't even turn on the lights. Just take up that pen and paper, scribble down a couple of words and put it back and say, right, that's it. It's sorted. I'll deal with that tomorrow. The other thing then is it's important that we keep in touch. Again, all our movements are restricted. Some of us haven't seen family in a long, long time. So again, that can really, really play in our minds and again, impact our ability to get off to sleep and to stay asleep. So it's really, really important to keep in touch with people. And this is where technology plays a huge role. So we can all Snapchat, we can video time, all of this, friends and family. But now more so than ever, we rely on our friends and family to get us through these really, really tough times. So it's really, really important to reach out and keep in touch with people. If it's a thing you find you're spending longer periods of time in bed, because we do have that extra time and extra spare time, make sure that you're spending about 90% of that time asleep in bed. If it's a thing you're spending long periods of time, like, where you're waking up in the morning and you're listening to the news on the radio, you're now having that morning breakfast in bed, watching movies in bed, all of these things can start to lessen that connection or break that connection between bed and sleep. And this is now where can play havoc with our sleep and bed connection. What can happen is if we're doing all of these things now in bed, the body or the brain is now getting a little bit confused. It's okay, I'm here in bed, but what am I actually meant to do? Sometimes I sleep, sometimes I read my book, sometimes I watch a movie, sometimes I have breakfast in bed. So it's really, really important that we keep bed just for sleep. So the rule of thumb is that you should be sleeping for about 90% of the time in bed. If it's a thing you're lying there for long periods of time and you really can't get off to sleep, or you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't get back to sleep, the best thing you can do is just get up and out of bed. Leave the bedroom, break that cycle. You go to a living area, not another bedroom, and just relax, wind down, do whatever you want to do in order to just chill out. Don't panic about the fact that you're not sleeping or the fact that you're not in bed. You're much more likely to feel sleepy in this nice, relaxed environment than you would be with tossing and turning and just getting frustrated with not getting back to sleep. Only go back to bed when you're feeling sleepy, because remember, the feeling sleepy should always be your cue for when you go to bed. You can't make yourself sleep if you're not genuinely sleepy. Sleep just doesn't happen if the need for sleep is just not there. Again, the bedroom environment is really important as well. A lot of us now are working from home. We've had to use the bedroom as our office space. So again, if you do have to use your bedroom as the office space, try to make a distinct area where you do your work. Try to not sit facing the bed. So when you're having your work life, you don't see the bed behind you. You could be in the office. You have to make this distinction between work and sleep time. Because again, you don't want this to break this connection between bed and sleep. Again, the environment is really important in which we sleep, so try to have it as cool is usually better in terms of sleep. Usually the ideal temperature for sleep is about 18 degrees Celsius. Ensure that it's completely pitch black dark. It is so important that there is no light getting into that room. You need to boost your melatonin levels to send the signal to your body to sleep. And we only do this. Melatonin is only produced when it's dark. So it's so important to have your room completely dark. So things like blackout blinds or even eye masks. But ensure that those eye masks are made of blackout material so that they actually do black out the light. So it's so important. Again, try to keep all of the kind of the smart devices out of the bedroom again. Really try to keep your bedroom as minimum as possible. You just need to be in that bed to sleep, and that's it. The other thing then as well is it's so important to mind our mental health. And remember, sleep or sleep issues, particularly insomnia, have this bi-directional relationship with all of the mental health disorders. So if you have been diagnosed with insomnia, you have a greater risk of also developing some of the mental health disorders like the depression and the anxiety. But unfortunately, the mental health disorders and sleep issues tend to go hand in hand, particularly at high times of anxiety. The more anxious you are, the less likely you are to sleep. The less you sleep, the more anxious you actually become. So it's a vicious cycle. So it's really, really important that if you do have any issues, it's important to reach out and again to get help. And also remember that your sleep also must be targeted as well. So hopefully some of those tips are going to be of benefit to you. If you find that you are doing all of these things and you have very good what we call sleep hygiene and you're still not sleeping well, it's so important that you talk to your GP. Sleeping medication can play a huge role in the short-term benefits or the short-term treatment of insomnia. But remember, it's not indicated for a long-term treatment. The best treatment you can get for chronic insomnia is cognitive behavioural therapy for insomnia. First of all, speak to your GP. You can always then get a referral, but it's so important that you do get a proper diagnosis. There are so many sleep disorders, and in fact there are over 80 sleep disorders, and a lot of them can all have the same symptoms. Because remember, it's not just a nighttime problem, it also affects your whole ability to function properly at the next day. So there are huge daytime consequences to not sleeping well. But also remember, it is normal to have the odd sleepless night, and even normal sleepers can sleep poorly at times. And that doesn't mean that you have insomnia. Just try to be as relaxed as you possibly can about having this sleepless night. It's normal. But when it goes on for too long and it really starts to impact your day-to-day functioning, that's when you talk to your GP. If you need to get in contact, you can find me on insomniaclinic.ie, and you can also find me in all the social media portals as well. Hope these tips have helped.